Okay. Good morning. Oh, no, you are 4.5 hours in front of us. You have midday. So that's a good session time for me or for you. So the sun is going up and 5 minutes or 10 minutes before it was dark. So now I come back. And that's the third time this year. Talking in India and the last time. So we have a little break and start in the new year again. So first I have to say thank you. People have to know that the sponsors, it's very interesting for the sponsors. The sponsors we need, otherwise we have no possibility to have these people around that. And also for the quiz we have at the last slide, we see that also. So my session is about OneDrive. I talk always about OneDrive. You know that people have seen that OneDrive, but it's always a different thing. And I have to say, add to OneDrive is a new way to think, and you have to see why is that. And therefore, we will talk. It's a dark screen. That's possible for me. I like dark screen, but I have to say, okay, we have to change it a bit, and I have to change it to my color of the slides. Otherwise, I have 60 slides or 65 slides, and therefore we have to look for that. Add to OneDrive the new ways to think. Who I am, I'm Hans Brender. I'm an MVP, an Office Service and Office Apps and Services, formerly known as Office Apps and Services. But people around the globe talk to me to Mr. OneDrive, and it's very interesting. We have now here in Germany a big community event in person with 1,500 people 2 weeks ago, and that was very interesting, but the pandemic is still there and we have to reduce that. So you see my data and you have to follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. I like to have it on Twitter, but anyway, you can talk to me on each channel, and sometimes it's better to talk to me via email if you have any questions about that. So the agenda for the next 15 minutes, we start with the beginners, then we talk about a little bit of the architecture, thinking old ways, what I have done in the old ways, and where are the critical points about that, and thinking about OneDrive, add to OneDrive, some tips and trips, and summary. So that's for the 50 minutes. And OneDrive in 6 steps, it's easy. It's absolutely easy. You have to see the 6 points, but anyway, it's not the thing. We have to talk. What is OneDrive and what is not OneDrive? OneDrive is not a network share. OneDrive is not a shared drive. OneDrive is not a simple storage location in the cloud. OneDrive is not just fast as a network drive. OneDrive is suitable for all data types. No. It's not suitable for all data types. And also, it's not like Dropbox, Box, or any other cloud storage. People always compare OneDrive and OneDrive for Business and different things and compare it with Dropbox and Box. It's different because if you have OneDrive installed and sync with all the data, the storage is your leading stuff. But anyway, OneDrive. OneDrive provides offline capability, not only in Windows. So that means if you have something in the cloud and you have it on a machine synced, then you can take it with you. And if you have the right stuff installed, means if you are local available or if you have always available this stuff, what you want to present or what you have to your customer or whatever, then you have the data with you. And that's okay for that. Contains metadata. So that's a different one, like history. If you're talking about the Office files and you see that the Office files and you change the Office file and go on, add some stuff, reduce some stuff, then you see, hey, you have to do. So I have some noise in the background. Please look for the stuff that you have to mute. Contains metadata like history, and also you see that you want to have it is a brand. Sometimes we talk about OneDrive and sometimes we talk about OneDrive. So no, OneDrive for business and OneDrive personal. If you talk with the people at Microsoft, they only talk about OneDrive. And you have to talk, hey, what is the difference about that? Therefore, you have to look for that. It's a sync technology. That means it's not directed. If you have an internet connection, it will sync the stuff from the cloud to your machines and vice versa. And it's OneDrive for Business and or OneDrive Personal, as I mentioned before. It's a basic for collaboration. If you want to do and collaborate with other people together or in advance, you can do that. You need OneDrive, and it's although if you have some stuff and have it encrypted and the stuff, it will work also if you have it and do it right. That's OneDrive. So, for example, a little bit about all these. That means that's are the old symbols. We have to see there is right here. The white symbol is next generation sync right for OneDrive Personal. On the left side, we have it a little blue. And for all people that have SharePoint on premise, they need the old Groove client. Therefore, you see the different. Then that changed a little bit the symbols. Now it's easier for you to see that's next generation sync client. On the other hand, you see that's the next generation sync client for each personal drive of OneDrive. The architecture. So you see that runs in the user context. It runs in 413 different languages, one engine, several instances. If you have more than an engine, that means, yes, it will run all this in one part, and you have the possibility to have selective sync. It's enterprise ready. You have group policies and all the stuff, and it's self-updating. Each day it looks if you have a new version, and it's although it runs with Office 365 or SharePoint online or SharePoint on premises with the version 2019. So you see, all things come together, and therefore it's a good thing that we can talk to that. But there are some critical points. And the critical points means we have the next generation sync client. Each library in SharePoint Online may have up to 30 million documents. Listen, it decreases the performance if you have more than 100,000 files there. Therefore, you have to look if it's better to have more libraries and it's the same, then you can talk to that. The next generation sync client have a limit with 300,000 files at instances. We will talk it a little later. File lengths, we started with 15 gigabytes at the beginning, then with 100 gigabytes. Now you have the possibility to sync data up to 250 gigabytes each file. Okay, we have to look how many space do you have on your machine later on. File length up to 400 characters in the Windows machine, and you see no network map drive. Do not talk that, do not read that stuff. It will not work until your password has been changed. It has to be renewed and all the stuff. It's not good for the thing. Therefore, you should not work with network or map drive. And if you have an automatic proxy and have to authenticate there, then you have to see, oh, it's also not on the list that Microsoft says it's good. It's not good. The newer ones will take away. And you should also look for libraries. And in the old days, we have the check-in, check-out feature. And it's although that do not do that if you want to co-authoring. So therefore, you have to look. IRM, ERS, we will have that. And you see all the things, what we will have and not have in this link on the slide. So you know, and at the end, you can see all the slides. You have to make some photos, and therefore it's okay. That's a synchronization we have. Together, we see the old stuff on premises, server, SharePoint Server 2011, 2010, 2013, and 2016. You see, that must be done with the old Groove client, as I mentioned before. All other stuff with Office, with SharePoint 2019, or the things that will come in the future, or the doc libraries protected with IRM, RMS, or sensitive labels, that will be done during the next generation sync client. You have that. Now we can look for the old ways. We have to see syncing the whole thing. But therefore, we have to look for that. What can we think about this stuff? Means we have to see here is SharePoint Online in the middle. That's our, you see, the cloud. Therefore, I say, okay, that's a cloud. We have several document libraries if we want to have that. Okay, listen, 100,000 files, not more, because the performance decreases. And then you have for each member in your tenant, you have OneDrive for Business. I only mentioned here 3, but you can have a lot of OneDrive. That means that's a site collection in SharePoint names. That means you have for each member who have a license, a site collection in there. That's OneDrive for Business. And you, as a member of OneDrive for Business, you are the administrator of your OneDrive for Business, not other people. The SharePoint Online document libraries will be shared for the IT, and there are the people who give you the rights. But for OneDrive for Business, it's your extended hard disk. So listen to that. That's the thing. Then we have Windows 10. We have, for example, Outlook. We have some stuff with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and also the web browser. And you see we have iOS and Android. I will show you later in the demo. And we have Teams. And all things work together. So in Outlook, you have Exchange Online in the cloud. But then you should not have an email and says, okay, I have here the file, and you see the file. You should not do that. You should also have a link from a document library or from different document libraries or from a OneDrive for Business. A link stays there. The thing is, yeah, file will still there in the cloud, but other people are allowed to work with this file, whatever rights you give them. So therefore, you have to see that's the same for OneDrive Personal. But you should also listen, hey, OneDrive Personal, the IT has no control. And if your company do not say, okay, I do not want to have OneDrive Personal, that's okay, because they cannot control for security reason or something. So that's the thing we see. But although the same, if you do it with Outlook and send it, you can do it and send a mail with Outlook on the web and not with an attachment. Although the same with Outlook, with the document libraries, or with your OneDrive for Business. But anyway, also for OneDrive, you see all things can be stored and synced in your Windows 10 machine. So that's a typical thing about that. If you start a machine, you will have the data. If you have a second machine, you can have it in a different ways, but you can also do it manually and say, I want to have this on this machine, and I want to sync the other stuff on this machine. Means also with OneDrive Personal. And to see that, there's a little bit more. You see, for example, and I will show you later on, that means we have here Exchange, there's a stuff, and you see the Windows 10, but another problem is that you have another tenant. And you can have up to another tenant if you want to do that. 9 are allowed, your own OneDrive for Business, and other 9 possibilities to other companies. If you have the license or they give you a license, you are allowed to have with the same engine. Means for completely stuff, 9 plus 1 OneDrive Personal. There's only 1. The reason is it's free, and therefore they want to say, okay, you should not have OneDrive Personal 1, OneDrive Personal 2, OneDrive Personal 3, and so on, and give some more memory. Therefore, they allowed only 1. You can have, but you can sync only 1. That I have to say. Okay, that's the thing we can talk about. And although what we have to sync here to the Windows 10 machine, that's an easy part. But sometimes it's a complicated thing. If you have the possibility and have a big company, then you can, there are also on Office 365, then you have the possibility to have B2B sync, business to business sync. It's a little bit complicated. I cannot talk about in 50 minutes because you have to read a big letter, that's a PDF document, that's a docs.microsoft.com, and therefore you have to read this document, 129 pages. But the possibility is there can also write in your document library directly without any authority. There is a trust between your company and these another tenant. So therefore, I have to say, yes, it's possible, and you have to sync there. So that's the thing we can have. And we see also that Word, Excel, and PowerPoint directly can connect to your OneDrive for Business, or to your Windows machine, or to OneDrive Personal, or to a document library. That looks a little bit complicated. Not only the thing that your OneDrive can connect and sync Word, Excel, and PowerPoint can directly sync. And that is absolutely, you have to listen that. It's automatically, you see that if you save it in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, that's the thing. If you can directly go to your one document library, that will work too. So therefore, we have to listen. Hey, not only a one sync client, no, it's internal in the Office clients. Therefore, you have to look which Office are you using. And that means also that we can connect directly with the people, with another people, and give them the possibility that we can connect for other people inside the company and have it over here, that we can share some document. Looks like complicated. Looks like if you have iOS, it's the same thing. You can have it. iOS is different. It's not a full sync. It's only a read sync. Because with your phone, you always sync to the cloud. No, your phone, if you make a picture, will sync to the cloud automatically if you can have that. And it's also, if you open it, we will show it later also in the demo, then you can see iOS is talking and you read the stuff only, but you can also work with them. They're syncing with iOS, and although the people, we can have access to all these stuff. Not only in iOS, we can have it although if you have an Android phone with Android. So that means different operating systems. And although for Mac, I haven't Mac here, I have to extend Mac, and the new ones, they have also the possibility to have the same versions we will have now. They rolled it out this week, therefore I have to extend my slides too. But the thing is, we have a lot of files, and I have to remember what is going on. Means add to OneDrive was a possibility and is not written in the docs. I haven't understand Microsoft why they want to do it. Add to OneDrive, or better to say, add a shortcut to OneDrive or add a shortcut to My Files. Add a shortcut to OneDrive will come later. I think next year, in the early next year, they will do that. And add a shortcut to My Files is a real name, but under the global thing, add to OneDrive. A shortcut, you know, from Windows is a shortcut. And therefore, you have a possibility. And the good thing and the bad things are you can also have remove shortcut from My Files. But we have to look what's going on there internally. The magic number is 300,000 files. I have told you that you have more than this stuff. That means all files you have to count with your OneDrive. OneDrive Personal, OneDrive for Business, all stuff with the SharePoint libraries, and all things you have to do and should not exceed 300,000. That's not so easy and not so funny, but we have to look for that. Otherwise, your engine is not possible to handle this stuff. Therefore, you have to look what you will have. And in the old days, you can have only once the whole and completely stuff. That means for all OneDrive for Business you have on your machine, all SharePoint Online and OneDrive Personal, you have to count the files and it should not exceed 300,000. So you see that here, if you see the documents and we press the sync button, and that means, okay, the complete file of that will be synced. So that means in this case, 13,000 files, and we should do that if we have a sync. But sometimes we could change that, and that means, okay, I only want to have it with a folder and want to have the folder, and then I can press add to thing. Means in the 2020 folder, we have only some small amounts, and only this will be synced to your machine. And that goes with add a shortcut to one files. For remembering add a shortcut is, that's me as a user. I have a folder A1, A2, A3, and I want to share it to another guy. User A want to share it with a user B of your company, and I want to do that. It's only internally. Shortcuts can only be done internally, and we're talking about OneDrive for Business, not OneDrive. And user B see the folders although. That's interesting. In his OneDrive, and you see you can have it there, and we can work together, and he can sync it on his machine. That's very interesting to see. User B add a shortcut to My Files, and then see a new symbol in OneDrive on the web, see folders and files on the web, and see the folders and files in Windows Explorer automatically. And not only on one machine, yes, at the second machine, you have more machine always, and also on your device with iOS or Android automatically. You do not have it on each machine. In the old days, the completely stuff, you can change it. But with a shortcut, it will be done here directly and on all your devices you have installed. And as you know, a shortcut can rename. That means only the renaming stuff. Folder A2 I can rename. And I will show you later on that will come done and automatically means the folder can be renamed. It's not a renaming my folder. It's only the shortcut. And that's a different one. And user bay may rename, although, and if after you have it renamed, you can also say, okay, I do not want to have it anymore, this user, and I can remove it. If you remove it from one machine, it will be removed also completely with all the files from all your machines, including iOS and Android. That's the different. In the old days, the completely stuff, you can say, okay, I do not want to sync anymore, but the data are still there. That's a little bit complicated, and people do not see that. Therefore, we have to look. And then we have to see, okay, I want to say this user B is not part of the library or not a member of library of a document library. And I am a user, I have a document library, and this document library I'm a member of, I can share it to the user B. So that we want to do. Listen, that's the same thing in your OneDrive for Business, you see that. So you see folder G3, and you can say, okay, I want to share it with me, and I have to see, okay, add a shortcut, we can rename it, and it will done the same procedure we have a folder. So the people can see, and all files can also be removed if you want to do not work anymore. So we have to look for that. That's a look. I have only the presentation. If you got the presentation that you can remember, we see that. And you see it also on the files later on. And you see that this symbol here, that's an iPhone, that's an iOS. You see, that means, okay, that's a shortcut. We have to remember that. And although they have to change it, but you have to know sometimes you have shared something from the same library. And that means on one machine, even if it's not on, he looks about that, he knows that you have shared it, and therefore you got a message. You cannot have it shared in different ways, because if it's an old your devices, you have to remove first the old one, and then you can say, I want to have a shortcut to my file. Therefore, this message comes up. So now we have to go to a live demo, and I have to switch a little bit on the stuff here. Let me look, that must be there. And you see that, hopefully. And you see, that's the finance. That's a library we want to have. But first, we have to look for the stuff we want to have. And that means we should do that here with the library. You see that I have here a library. That's OneDrive for Business. And I have several things here. You see the symbols here, the cloud-only files. And we have to look for that. There are 3 of these add to OneDrive. So I'm now for a company, and I'm working as a finance guy, and I only want to see 2017, 2018, 2019. We look for that. I have to control that. That's only files for that. And that means we have to look how does it going on. And we have to look first how the library looks like. So I have to see there, where is it? This one. And you see, that's a completely library about finance. So we see that from 2020, and you see there's some data in, or hopefully, no, there's no data there. Take a new one, listen for that one. Okay, we have a little bit data there. And also for the newer ones, we see you have a lot of data there. Means, yes, if we sync it, we sync the complete library. But listen, it expands, and I'm a controller. I only need the stuff here, and therefore I have to say, okay, listen what we see. We see that in this library, but if you look for the My Files, you see the symbols I have. I only have 2017, 2018, and 2019. And with other stuff, it comes not out. It comes from another sharing possibility. You see that the owner is T Finance, and I want to have that. Therefore, I have to say, okay, now I want to start to 2019. On the other hand, I will show you what it looks like, and I have to look for my iPhone and give it. Let me start. Okay, maybe now. So we see that, and we see all the data. We have to go back, and we have to go there, and you see the data that's all there. That's the stuff we see here, the creditors and all these stuff, 2017, 2018, and 2019. And all the other stuff I also have there. If I go there, you see a lot of data there, but only we want to discuss about these things. You see also a folder with all, and I want to go back, and you see add to OneDrive. At this time, it's not possible at this time to have all these in one folder to say, okay, I want to move the creditor here in this stuff. That will come in the near future. Microsoft has announced that. That means you can control it a little bit better. But anyway, we're going to go to T Finance. To do that, I want to go to 2020 creditors, and not 20 creditors, and want to have 2020, and I have to select. And now add a shortcut to my files. You see this? It's done. And you see it automatically with my files, but it's not there. Why? Because it takes automatically the name of the stuff, and that means 2020. And now I can do it, but renaming is now at this time not possible here. We have to switch and have to see how it's going on, and that is here. You see all the stuff? I have to say, okay, press F5. Here are the things, 2019. You see this data, and we have now the 2020. And now I have to say renaming this. Rename. And for me, it's better to rename in my way what I want to do. And I have to say, okay, creditor and 2020. And you see the underscore at a thing. That means it's in front of all the other stuff. Therefore, I do that. It's only renaming. It's only in my position. That will not change it in the web, in the original one where they come. So I have to do it again. So done. And also looking for that one. Now we see that, okay, we see that, and we have it also. We have to look for that, and that will come in a few seconds, and we have to read it again, and then we will come here. Now it's there, credit 2020. So it's only a small thing, and therefore that's a new way to think, to have it. People say, yeah, it's in my OneDrive. If I got it and I have to see it, I can do an auto. You see it here. And now I want to do, I'm ready with, as a finance manager, I have ready with 2017. Therefore, I say, okay, I press the button here. And now you see sharing and the 3 points. And now I say, on my machine, because you see that, I want to see, okay, cut it out, and it's done. And we have to look what's with the rest. And you see how it's gone. Also, automatically, the data are still not there anymore. That's a perfect thing. And if you look in there, that will be also, I have to make a refresh, and you have to refresh, and we will see that also now 2017 is gone. So that's the thing that adds to OneDrive. And we will start and continue with the label. But now I have to look for the thing, not that. And have to restart with the demo. And wait a second. Hopefully it starts. I do it with PowerPoint Live, but it will not start automatically. And I have to go to several slides again. That's not a good thing, but anyway, we know about that. Let me look. I can do it also a bit more. And that was live demo. There. So, add a shortcut only for all people in your organization. It will not work with external people. That's a different one. In OneDrive Personal, you can have it in a different ways, but it's here in your organization that want to control it for security. Any folders from OneDrive, any folders from any SharePoint document library, you have to access. You can share it with other people. You may get an error if you already sync data to share it with me. And for external users who share the folder with files with you, you still must use synchronized the method FF. So the old method for external users. When choose what? That's a different. Listen, it could be, therefore it depends. I have to say it depends because we want to see what's going on. Here again, we see some users on the left side with Windows 10, the 1 and 2 share the library of SharePoint library 1, and the other ones share the library 2. So that's a possibility to have that. That's the old one. You have to press the sync button and it's done. And you find all the data. If you release the data, you have to delete the stuff on your local machine too. On the other hand, with sync from the SharePoint library, that's the same stuff we want to have, you can have it, but we press the add to shortcut. In this case, what we want to sync. We do not need that. That means if you migrate for a partner or something or company, if you migrate some stuff from the file server to the SharePoint libraries, you should do and reorganize your stuff that you can see, like I have done with the finance stuff, that I have the years also, and therefore you can change it before you do it. So only manual sync add to OneDrive, and it's done there, and you see that also. I have written, because there is no documentation at docs.microsoft.com. Not yet. I have read some articles, and you can find the links there about this OneDrive if you want to read a little bit more and all the stuff. You find that here. I have got the links for you that you can cite at the stuff. So for the last some minutes, we have to look, hey, there are some tips and tips and daily work. So sometimes the people, and that's the most thing that I want to know around. I am on Reddit, I am on different forums allowed completely in the complete world. And the most thing they have, it's so slow. Yes, sometimes you have to look. Automatic updates, you only need one client SFX and glive.com. That means that must be open. Therefore, you see all the links. There are other links that you want to see that they have automatically update. It takes up to a week. So in my environment, I have several machines. The first one comes on Thursday. Normally, I'm on an insider. And that means it comes a little bit each week normally, and it comes on one machine on Thursday. The last machine is done on Friday. So even if it's the same range of a network, it takes it, because Microsoft wants to establish, hey, not all people have it at the same day, but the machine is looking, is there a new version? When you install it automatically, you do not have to install it or not manually. You can do that, but it's on your own thing. It will do done automatically. So there's also something, sometimes it goes not so fast. And that means, hey, we have to do directly from push to pull, and you see that, then it can done if you allow traffic to start at windows.com. If you have the Windows notification service and can allow, it speeds up your things. You have to look if you are allowed to have traffic to see that from this direction. For all the people who have something interesting from automatic updates, you know, there are now not only two, we have a little bit more, not only a 32-bit, Sometimes the Windows machine only has 32-bit for the old ones, and sometimes you have a 64-bit, and you can install it, although the insiders. Microsoft do not have it on their sites. They want to discard that for the Windows versions, and they have no time. Therefore, I make this. It's although in the versions at my blog post, and you see all the versions are there. Not all, because it got a little bit later. We have the ring system with the insiders and the production ring, and although the deferred ring that will come. So yes, I see it. Thank you. I have 5 minutes left, so I have to go for summaries. You find a lot of things in Microsoft with the MS Tech community blog. That's very interesting. You have to look for that. If you see for OneDrive, I have also some news in English and German language. You find that 850 articles. And you also see some stuff with the 365 roadmap. You can also look for that, what will come. Don't say, hey, it's in Q1 and now in Q1 or Q4. It takes a little bit time. Sometimes Microsoft has to delay some functionality. And as I said, with Steve Jobs, one more thing. I have one more thing. I have the community bot for OneDrive. And that's very interesting to see that. So I need some sleek. I cannot answer around the clock the numbers. So therefore, I have to look for that. And you see the bot runs in Teams. So what is that? It's there, and I have to look for that, and I will show you after then that I want to see that. But you have to look. I will show you this one, and we have to look for that we have the community bot. So now I'm in Teams in the second one. That's a browser version, and you see I have prepared it, and I have to say hello. You can ask him all about OneDrive. So that means you can also have it only with one word, sharing. Okay, does he know sharing? Yes, the bot uses artificial intelligence, and then you see the answers. That means completely stuff in English. You have to say it in English or in German and some other things. What about shared with me? What about password protection? You only have to click once and you got a message. You can ask several things, whatever. The newest OneDrive versions. And we have to look for that, and it got an answer. And you see, that's an insider version. That's an insider. They have to use it with the same thing. You do not have to look for that. That runs in Teams. You can have it here and look for the community bot. If you see that community bot for OneDrive, we can install it. We don't need anything. We don't need no access to the Active Directory. You have to install it or ask your manager that you can install it. And if you do not install it, you can also run the bot. There is a possibility to have it on the normal internet. Therefore, it's a good thing. You can do that too. So we have to look there. And that means, again, stop sharing and go ahead. Let me look with this one. Add to OneDrive. And we have to look a little bit quicker and see that. So that's the thing I want to share for you. That's the community bot, and you find it also on the Teams App Store. And here is a number for the Bitly OneDrive bot. That means, hey, you can have a web chat version if you are not able to run it in Teams. And therefore, that's the thing you can do. And now it's time to take your phone and make a shot. On the left side, you have the feedback link for the session. And keep in mind, we all need feedback, therefore you should do that. On the right thing, you have it, and it's different. It shows you the slides. So you have the slides immediately if you make it. You can also see it, okay, feedback. Bitly is easy to say Bitly OneDrive today 211211. So therefore you see the slide deck and have it immediately there. Therefore, I have to say, okay, thank you so much, and see you next year anywhere on the planet or again in India. I hope so. And we will see that. And I have to say thank you for all that. Thank you for the listening. You see all the stuff. And although thank you for the sponsors and participate on the quiz. Remember the magic number. And then you can have it. And I have to introduce, hey, the next session is done for my colleague with MVP Office Apps and Services. That means from Matti Paukonen from Finland. That's a little bit north. He still has in dark. You have to ask him, and that's okay. If there are any questions, keep in mind you can ask me a little bit if you want to do it, and we can do that. And yeah, it's done. And therefore, we have 5 minutes left, and then we can have the questions. Are there any questions? Feel free to ask.